in favor of LYB. I'm saying that Empire, you know where that one game comes from? It's not from cheese, it's from them being a solid team as well. So going into this, it's anybody's matchup. Both the favors, the title favors could go and swing it either way.
Are you just doing World Cup strategy here, which is your country or your team gets knocked out by a team, so you have to support them now, like just snowball the fans onto one side till the finals? That's what's going on. Resurgence being knocked out, so you're like, Empire, let's go!
I'll take any consolation I can get, alright? Any consolation I can get. It is still a very big move coming in for Singapore and Malaysia as a region. The fact that they're going to be playing in this, if they can win this one out, they can show that, you know, Singapore as a region, they weren't slow behind. Empire can make it to the finals.
Oh, who knows? The Singaporean spy of Mexi could also sub in for Game 2 or Game 3 if we get there. But let's take stock at the start of this match. Empire going to be starting on blue buff, so Caspiel will pick that one up at level 1. Sarah and Ibina both give him a nice leash. Dodoy starts without a leash on his own red buff, so it's a little bit slower here, but he's Lee Sin, he'll be fine. Does be Morgana as well, as Caitlyn has access to the lane. Vladimir's not too sure if Lee Sin started top side of the map, but looking at this, right away, Akali does go top side, but they swap it out. Shine's been placed in the mid lane, and Karino's going top lane without teleports on Vladimir.
I mean, this is a pretty decent match coming in for the Fiora. It's a skill matchup. Both sides have a good chance to try and win this one out, because as long as you can get away from the stun coming in from the Aurelia, and since the chain with the Vanguard's edge doesn't disarm you anymore, and that's a long time ago, Fiora has had a much easier time this match. So it makes sense that they bring the Fiora mid lane, but the one that I really want to try and highlight right now is going to be that jungle pickup, because Dodoy on Lee Sin, much more aggressive as opposed to Caspiel. When Caspiel played Lee Sin for us the last time around, I said, you know what, Caspiel coming in, he plays his all off super aggressive, his Lee Sin should be the same case. That's not true. When he goes in to play the Lee Sin, he tries to farm out, he takes it like a similar style as he does with something like the Nocturne.
But look at this, Dodoy doing exactly what he did during Hyperplay, just jumps over the Rift Herald camp, immediately over towards red buff, and now Caspiel's been 3 buffed. He's still ahead on farm. He's got 16 CS in his back pocket in comparison to the 12 that Lee Sin has picked up.
I mean, what can I say? That's the aggression I was talking about. It's part of the aggression that Dodoy brings to the table. It's something that Caspiel, I feel like, is a little bit lacking, considering the kind of playstyle that he provides for his team. When he goes onto a team, he's able to go in with something like the Olaf, something like the Jarvan, and he's really able to find those setups. But when he's not the primary engage, that's when he starts to falter a little bit. I feel like he doesn't know the aggression.
Oh, stun in the mid lane, though, jumping on top of Shine. Here comes Dodo, does flash early for Shine. They flash through as well. Parry comes out at the perfect time from Shine. I cannot believe that play, Grandin.
What a move coming in. That's why you bring the Fiora into the mid lane skill matchup. It absolutely is. Being able to get away from that kill, Dodoy will have to expand flash from that. So even with a 3 buff start, isn't able to find the monumental advantage for his team.
That is big coming out from Shine. Yes, slightly out of position. Yes, forced to blow the flash, but that's Ignite, flash, and another flash on the side of LYB being blown to try and gank the mid lane. Shine still has teleport as well to make a play, coming back into the lane itself. Meanwhile, let's check in with bot lane for the first time here, Grandin. Oh no, that's a lot of damage onto Ribena. Caitlyn Morgana, very oppressive lane. You have to pick a good support into it to stop the push. And already, 31 CS to 19, and they've gotten a turret plating.
I mean, what else is there to be said? Going down to the bot lane, the Caitlyn Morgana was such a good reactionary pick to the Braum being locked in earlier on. And at that point, Empire were like, oh no, we forgot something like this exists. Because there are not that many options available to the meta right now that can try and work against this pick comp.
And I actually think that is the biggest difference between LYB or Mineski last year and LYB this year. They brought in Cabbage, one of the tactical masterminds that we've already harped about, the desk has already harped about. He understands draft so well. That's how he took so many teams from Southeast Asia into the World Championship. I believe that's the exact piece of the puzzle that LYB and Mineski were previously missing to regain the form of their 2 World Championship runs in the past.
Look, this is LYB. They have the hardware. Adding Cabbage in was adding in that software, that installing the new drivers to make sure that everything's up to date. Because it felt like LYB, yeah, they were a strong team before. Yes, they knew how to win out their matchups, but they were always it always felt like they were a little bit behind the meta. And coming into this, just off the draft, you can already see the kind of monumental change that's been impacted. Meanwhile, mid lane.
He saw that one coming, but still took a lot of damage. Shine throws out the parry, a little bit too late. First blood going towards Morgana. Caspiel's able to run away there, but that feels a little bit awkward. Couldn't tell if that ward was already controlled.
Absolutely, 100% control.
Then Shine just getting a beating from Fog of War there. So Empire, the return get comes into the mid lane. Really well played from LYB.
Yeah, nice rotation coming in from the Morgana. They managed to push out the wave, and then once that wave's pushed up, they have a little bit of safety on the Caitlyn. The Caitlyn can just go from the far range, get some CS, bring the Morgana up.
And that's something that we've been so critical of many teams in the LSD, is when they get an advantage one side of the map, they don't transition that advantage somewhere else. This time, LYB get an advantage in the bottom lane. Caitlyn and Morgana push out. They use that. They say, you know what? Gary's ahead. Let's send Morgana to mid lane and try and push some of that advantage towards Irelia, towards Lee Sin. Morgana gets the kill, but still, kill is a kill, and LYB looking really good to start this match. 1-0, 1,000 gold ahead of Empire.
Yeah, that first blood money is going to be worth quite a pretty penny, even split among multiple members there. I think right now what really matters coming in for LYB is to try and keep working with his advantage, because they know that Caspiel, he doesn't do all that much till level 6, and that's not just an issue with his champion, that's just a characteristic that he himself carries. So if they're able to try and abuse this a little bit more moving into the next phase of the game, they should be able to find quite a strong edge and be wary of this level 6 part.
Oh my, this bottom lane is actually a disaster. Checking in with the top side of the map, if you watched the NA/LCS finals, you would have seen how this Akali-Vladimir matchup goes. In the lane itself, Akali is able to crush this, but fair play to Karina. He's doing a good job so far, holding his own against Gamza. Was forced to use his ultimate there in a trade against the Akali and to push out this wave as well. But so far, nothing much to happen top side map. Akali has not been able to put the pressure down onto this Vladimir pick, and that is very scary in the late game.
Absolutely, the Akali is going to be something that's going to scale up a lot more. But right now, what's more important to look at is the kind of movements that teams are making around the next objectives. The Rift Herald coming up, as well as the current Dragon. The fact that Caspiel has his ultimate could mean that he wants to try and make a play.
But they spotted him out. There was a lane ward that was placed down by Exocen, very similar to the wards you used to see in Season 2, Season 4 against Twisted Fates, that just spots out if anyone's right behind that mid lane turret. So LYB know that Caspiel's on the top side map. That gives the go for Caitlyn Morgana to continue pushing. Exocen doesn't have to worry. He's underneath his own turret at the same time. Just alerts Gamza, hey, head back to base. Nocturne's in your area. Be careful.
Look, see, that's a big one. That vision control is the kind of thing that you would only be able to know about if you had an experienced coach at the back say, you know what, if you're up against a Nocturne, you're up against something of a global ultimate, this is where you need to establish vision at. And LYB making full use of the information, now being able to rotate over to that first objective.
While we watch Dodo pick up Ocean Dragon, let's talk about some of the other pickups that LYB have made. They've moved Hammers from the jungle position into the support. And then they picked up Dodo, who was... To me, there were two players at Hyper Play that really stood out. It was the carry coming in, the AD carry from Vietnam, and then Dodo. But here's again going to be late jumping on towards Irelia. Dodo's going to try and jump in as well. Vanguard's edge come out, flash away from their Irelia. Caspiel going to take the dash, kicks back under the turret. Not quite what Dodo was, but forces a flash. Shine in trouble as well. Exocen with the first one. The double B picked up by Irelia. LYB off to a flying start.
What a play coming in from LYB, even with the rotation from Zaya trying to stall off the pickup from LYB here. Just an incredible set of mechanical moves over on the side of LYB. They brought the stun off. They're looking to try and pick up a couple more, a little bit more gold for the turret platings.
Strom just trying to go toe-to-toe against Dodo. They get the double turret plating there. Now you have an unlocked Irelia. Shine, who was a monster in the split, pushing top side of the map. He's been shoved into the mid lane here, Grandin. Yes, it looked good for him to start. It just doesn't feel like he's very comfortable in this mid lane matchup.
Yeah, you can see just how painful bot lane is as well. I mean, mid lane, that's one issue. Bot lane, that's a more pressing one that's appearing right now. The rotation from there to try and provide some safety there puts EMP in such a disadvantageous position. I want to talk a little bit about the itemization coming in from both mid laners right now. The Irelia as well as the Fiora. Fiora opted for towards the Titanic Hydra first, towards the Ravenous Hydra, to try and get a little bit more wave clear moving forward. You can see how the fact that he isn't able to clear out the waves and puts him in such a disadvantageous position. He tries to move forward, trying to clear that out, and that draws over the attention from Dodo. They know that there's possible gang coming in from Gaswell, and even if there isn't, they can still make a play. Whereas on the side of Irelia, on the side of Exit, it's easy. All he needs to do is itemize the damage, but look at mid lane.
In trouble, Braum comes into mid lane, throws out the ultimate as well. Even a teleport from Ribena to help in that play, just pulling it back for Shine. Caspiel picks up that kill. It's 1,000 gold of a lead, still going over the way of LYB. Hammers here to try and pick up that farm. Oh, he's underneath the turret! Oh my god!
The support solo kill!
That's the surprise support. Meanwhile, Vladimir being jumped on top side of map. Gamza forcing. No, he missed it. He missed his ultimate. Now Karina going to push forward. The Vladimir charge is coming back up. Transfusion with the flush as Karina gets the solo kill onto Akali.
Oh my goodness, Empire, they turn they turn that around there. I mean, the top lane, that's one big thing, but Hermes, what a play coming in of that Morgana.
Even during that time, they didn't need anyone topside map. They pick up the Rift Tail for themselves. Nice play from Gary. He's going to be able to take down the bottom lane outer turret during this time. And you have to look at the gold. Gary's kind of been a fantastic AD carry this entire tournament, often having a super large gold difference in comparison to the opposition's AD carries.
Yeah, this Caitlyn scaling up to be quite the monster, and Caitlyn is going to be in a pretty decent position right when she gets those 2 items. The 2 item power spike going to be felt much more than when the Ezreal is. But you also have to draw pressure over onto the Morgana because she finished at Utter Sensor right away.
This was that fight in the mid lane. All we saw was Shine taking a fight against Exocet, who was really far ahead, and then Zed just showing up to help out. Caspian there as well. Basically kill stealing at this point.
Yeah, that was a secure kill by Hermes. Oh my goodness, how much health is Shine left? That's a decent amount of health. Walks right into the binding there. Beautiful use. The tower gonna dish out a little bit more damage, and that ultimate just for safe measure. Very nice play. But once again, that Caitlyn picks up the Infinity Edge. She's gonna be able to start scaling up so much faster because they also have the Iron Sensor. Great itemization coming in.
We're in some trouble. Hammers uses the ultimate first. Sanguine Pulse still gets stunned through it. Q comes out, not quite enough. Look at this, Morgana's in a lot of trouble, but Dodo's going to rotate up as well, steps on a trap. Gary gets another kill. We can talk about him quickly. Played in Korean Challenger, being picked up by Liab for this split. Very strong AD carry. And then Gemza, the rookie, being picked up with great mechanical ability, but like we saw in that last one-on-one, has the tendency to choke during important plays from time to time, here, Brandon.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a tendency for him, so the fact that they're going for I would say a safer carry right now, but mid lane, what's going on here?
Ribena took a tower shot, suddenly Exocet trying to jump on top of him. Braun throws out the ultimate, hits him with the Q, and he gets him with a true shot barrage. Close play.
Coming in for Ribena that almost gets taken down by the Ignite. I mean, playing with fire there. That was a tough one. That's a tough blow for Liab to deal with. Exocet almost managed to pick up the kill. He goes in with the dash a little bit early. He doesn't have the third stack. And then all that mobility that the Ezreal has gave him the safety that he needed there. And they're going to be able to translate that into a little bit more over to the mid lane. If they can break over this mid lane, it gives so much more power over the Empire. Now that a Nocturne is able to start rotating around the mid side, he can try and use that Paranoia to set around other objectives around the map.
Well, they're going to try and start with Infernal Dragon. Turret lane is going to go down in a second. Gary actually rotated, head back to base, while the top lane turret's at 1 tick left. Dodo wanted to try and jump in, but not able to help try and steal that dragon away. Empire pick up an objective for themselves, and they're still 1,000 gold behind Liab.
Yeah, the gold difference not all that massive, so Empire's still in a pretty good position. They're going to be able to pick up a couple of the tower plays up top side, and that's something they've been lacking. It has to be said, right now, if you're shy, you have to be kicking yourself because you're playing the Fiora. Yeah, Fiora goes into the late game and is able to scale to that point, but it's still very problematic that your mid lane is losing so hard that you're putting the Nocturne there to clear it away.
But they've already started their 1-3-1 here, Grandin, or the 1-2-1. Let's say. Carino topside and Matt split pushing against Caitlyn for the moment and Morgana. He's been, ramped up a little bit. He's looking towards his Zhonya's Hourglass first, so not going to have as much damage as we expect from Vladimir around the level 12, level 11 mark. Then you have Shine split pushing bottom side of the map. Ezreal is currently farming the mid lane. Often, time to time, Braun will join him. And you just have Nocturne rotating between all 3 sides of the map. Liab sticking to the game plan though. Rotate Caitlyn and Morgana to the lane that has a turret standing. Take that down. Rinse and repeat. It's only going to get difficult for them once they take down this mid lane outer turret.
I mean, for Liab right now, the fact that they've been able to play such a calculated game is pretty impressive. I mean, going in through the Philippine qualifiers, it looked like Liab were heads and shoulders above everybody else in the competition. They were able to effectively take games away just off the snowball from some of their players. But coming into this one, they recognize that Empire are a much more serious threat. They have to play it a lot slower. But going into this game, there has to be a statement being made. Liab or Empire, either team really has to go in and say, we are at a level that there's enough of a gap that you can visibly see it. Because if they're going up against Mega, going into the finals, they need to be able to really prove their mettle.
So what's this next play coming up, Grandin? Because it feels like Liab will want to try and just stick in the mid lane, look to chip away at this turret. But what is the big play that we see coming up next? No Dragon, Baron's not up for 4 minutes.
So on Empire side, because they, you know, you're talking about how you want Liab to play, I actually feel like it's up to Empire to make a mistake, because they, on the side of Liab, have drafted for a decent amount of power, but they're not running a double teleport. They don't have the mobility to try and react to the Empire play. I think what they need to do is try and set up a bait, try and set up a position where they say, all right, you can have this, you can have X, but I'm going to take X, and then Y, and then Z, and just snowball the game from there. One easy way to try and set this up, go and set the Akali down bot lane, trying to have her stall for as much time as possible, use the Twilight Shroud, push the turret, and then try and get something like mid lane, for example.
Look at this. Shine is actually controlling the bot lane minion wave. So Akali would have to push very far outside of her comfort zone against a Fiora, against a Nocturne.
Exactly. It's a difficult one to make, but did he go for this? What's Lee Syndrome?
No ward hop. Would have to use his flash there. They're close by as well, but they're getting a good chip damage from this turret still. Again, that's what Liab want to try and work with here. Chip away at the turret, take it down, take down all the outers.
Yeah, just gonna find a little bit more damage onto this mid lane turret. They can afford to play slowly right now. There isn't all too much pressure on them. They have decent amount of skilling going into late game as well. You have that Akali that can do a decent amount of damage, even up against the Vladimir.
I mean, it's an Infinity Edge Zeal Caitlyn with an Ardent Sensor being picked up by Morgana. They're putting a lot of their eggs in the Gary basket. Cheeky play from Zera and Ribena, looking to try and get that quick Winter's Bite. The Arcane Shift on top of them, missing quite a few skill shots there, but not punished by Liab.
Yeah, but it is still going to be that big 2-item battle spike from the Caitlyn right now. Caitlyn is really going to be that big mid-game win condition, mid to late game win condition.
But even using the teleport from Ribena just to make sure that this mid lane turret doesn't take too much of a beating. Caspiel being thrown down here as well. Good damage on towards the Nocturne. Chipping away at this turret. Even though they threw the teleport down here, it still falls. The Liab have set up the first part of their win condition, taking down all the outer turrets.
Teleport going to be burnt on the side of Empire. Ribena, without that, it felt like running teleport hasn't been all that beneficial to Empire. When we look back at the Empire games, International Minors, Empire as a team have made so many incredible teleport plays around the neutral objectives. That big highlight one where they went up against, I believe, Climax, where they managed to get that teleport play around Dragon, and being able to win that fight really cemented that position in our minds. But coming into this, running teleport on Ribena doesn't look to be bearing any fruit at all.
What's next for Liab? We often see the Caitlyn Morgana get to this stage, they take down all the outer turrets, and then it just doesn't quite work out from here onwards. What do they have to do to make this composition continue to work?
I honestly don't feel like Liab have anything to worry about. The Akali skills up, the Morgana skills up, even against Empire's composition, they are in a pretty safe spot. But looking at this fight around Dragon.
Looking for a fight at the Elder Dragon. Gamza was dashing in and out of the Twilight Shroud there, looking for a fight. Shine's not here. Does have teleport available if he needs to join this fight. Liab, they're going to try and leash out this Elder Dragon. Caspiel pulling it back. Dodo going to try and start tanking it. Liab are grouped up as 5. Vladimir not in this fight just yet. Shine is clearing out minions in the mid lane. Dragon resets, and Carino try and get a nice big flank for the team. Flash available for the Vladimir. Ultimate available as well. He goes in, jumping on top of 3 members as Nocturne jumps in as well. Shine slides into a couple of DMs at the exact same time, even though Gamza's dashing around the back line with Exocode. The rest of Liab's roster has hit the deck. They're 6 feet under, and it's only Exocode left alive, desperately trying to run away from this Blood Mage. Stun comes out. Carino still continues to relentlessly chase forward. Irelia desperately wants to get back to base, barely does so, but big team fight coming out from Empire.
But what were we saying about Empire and Dragon fights? This is exactly what Empire have done moving into the National Minors, being able to get this lead for themselves. When we look back at the analyst desk, Opal was talking about how Empire as a team, they will give up the Yola game if it means they can transition into a strong mid game. Beautiful play coming in from Empire, and they get the Inferno Dragon as well. I mean, take a look back at this replay. It starts off Liab. They want to try and get into a safe position to try and group together, but guess what? Vladimir on the flank comes in, fishes out damage. Sure, he doesn't have all that many items just yet, but still being able to find such a huge ultimate onto many, many targets, that's gonna hurt.
You have to think that Coach Cabbage can be looking at this and be a little bit upset with the lack of wards bottom side of the map, because Liab did a really good job. They said, you know what? We've pushed in lanes. Come fight us at Dragon. We have the numbers advantage. We have the team fighting composition. Come and pick a fight against us. We know where your Vladimir is. We know where your Fiora is. But they lost sight of Carino. Carino just pushed out bot lane, and then cheated through Fog of War for the massive flank. No wards to stop Vladimir, no way to scatter it out, no way for Gary to set up as well, because that's what Caitlyn needs to do, set down the traps.
Yeah, it's a very quick one coming in from... so coming in, LYB, when they try and set up for vision around the bot side, or generally when they try and set up vision, it involves them being able to have that really strong engaged front line that's really being able to give them this safety if they need to. If they want to try and go for a fight, they can. But coming into this one, Lee Sin really doesn't fulfill that position. If he wants to try and go in, that's a commitment they have to make on a team level, and it's difficult.
Oh my goodness, the spell shield coming from Caspiel is able to dodge out from the Dark Binding. Baron joins the fight as well as Carino looking for the flag in the back lines. Robina going to dash over as well. Liab taking on Death Grenade, root him underneath Baron, who contributes to Liab's kills here. They're still chasing forward. Hammer's the main target. He's able to dash away. Irelia goes down. Dodo in trouble. Look at this Nocturne go. He is nightmares at the moment. Gary gets one kill. Zaire flashing on top of Gary to allow Carino to pick up the next. Hamez desperately trying to run away. Zaire, the Brom, the big man with the shield, wants everyone to stand behind him. Meanwhile, Shine do what Shine does best.
Shine
Split pushing in the bot lane.
Finds his footing back into the game, and he's back. 2 and 3, but look at the CS gap, being able to find his split push. Oh no, the Grand Challenge doesn't find his damage in time. The recall is through for Gamza.
At Houston, we have a problem. The moon seems to have disappeared. Meanwhile, Zaire and Carino continue to split push topside map, I should say. After a wishy-washy team fight came out, you know, couple kills going sideways there. We saw Robina getting stuck underneath Baron.
Oh no!
Taking Baron, but Shine takes down a turret. Empire take one topside map. They've not only taken the lead in turrets, the gold lead is now in favor of Empire. 3,500 gold up with 2 Infernal Dragons.
Look, I don't want to say that Ribena right now is a carrot dangling on his stake going, Liam, you want this? You want this carrot? But he kind of is. 2 fights in a row, 2 major fights that Empire have won. Ribena has died throughout them, and it's been Carino that comes in with the supplementary damage that's able to help his team win. So Empire right now, they recognize this. They know that Carino is in a strong position. They're looking for good fights. It's up to Liab to say, you know what, we need to stop going for Ribena and kill off the Vladimir first.
And think about the redemption arc for Empire here. KLH, the most historic organization in Malaysia, disbands. Roster combines with Team Anything to form Empire. And this is after KLH had such an up and down split last year. Qualifying for Rift Rivals, big high point for the KLH squad. And then we see poor performance Rift Rivals. Goes to the OPL, C-Tour don't win. Poor performance at the C-Tour Summer. Coming to this, there was no expectation for this roster. Resurgence were the favorites in the semi-finals of the national qualifiers for SIM. And they're coming into a match where Analyst S 2-1 for Liab every single pick. But game 1, Empire take a beating to start the match, bouncing back so well, 4,000 gold in the lead. You have to think they can kind of taste game 1 and say, you know, this is what we have to do to continue our story.
Look, Empire, again, it comes down to it. Empire willing to give up that early game to pick up that late game, and that's fine. But up against stronger and stronger teams, that becomes a more abusable trait. That's why I felt like they've had so many problems going into previous iterations of competitions, and it doesn't feel like they've changed away from the identity. So it's 2-part. Sure, you could say, yeah, Empire as a team, these guys are still the strong powerhouses that have been able to dominate their region for the longest time, and even up against international competitions are okay, but they've never been strong going into international competitions because of those very obvious flaws. And I'm wondering if Empire have any way to try and remedy that situation, or we're just going to see the same thing appearing and Liab abusing that going into the second game.
Trying to be very sneaky here, but unfortunately steps into a trap laid down by Caitlyn. What about Liab? Big change for Liab, bringing in Dodo, bringing in Cabbage. It just feels like this team was built for C-Tour finals. What's happening in game 1? What went wrong for them?
I mean, for Liab right now, the organization, the team, the decision to try and bring such strong players to the roster is a good one. You know, you try and invest heavily into the talent you're going to have because you need good hardware if you're going to run good software. My question is right now is, do they have the time necessary to actually install all that software? Because there's a lot that Coach Cabbage is going to be able to bring to the table, right?
He's going to say,
yeah, he's going to come down, he's going to say, these are all the things that I want you guys to be able to try and do. How much time have Liab really been able to try and work with this for?
So, 25 minutes into the game, Liab controlled majority of the early game. Empire strikes back. What's next for LYB? How do they get back into the game?
I'm sorry, you just made a pun. I don't think you realized that the Empire Strikes Back.
Of course I realize this,
Oh,
Brandon.
you
It's
realize?
my bloody job.
Oh, okay.
Can you get with the program and do your job and tell me how LYB get back into this game? That
Yeah.
was the question.
I don't think LYB are out of the game in any way. Right now, LYB are actually playing towards their actual win condition. The early game was honestly something that you wouldn't really expect all that much coming in. Sure, the bottom is going to be dominating, but you weren't expecting a 0-3 Fiora coming in. But look at what's this fight going on here.
I'd like to see this. Empire not trying to push for any inner turrets. Just continue to let Shine split push bottom side of the map. Control objectives. Blue buff's gone. They take that one away. Shine still being an absolute thorn in LYB's side, and vision control entirely around the Baron pit going the way of Empire. They find Lee Sin. Oh my, that's cut the broadcast. Censor, that's our raider right there. It's not okay.
Oh yeah, and down bot side too, the Fiora Shine still applying pressure there.
Perfectly fine, disengaged away from Akali, and rightfully so. Empire have been able to kill the jungler from LYB. A sudden kill at that. No smite available for LYB. They're looking for a fight. Karina's going to go in first on top of Hummus. Dodges away from the Dark Binding. Gets stopped with the Blast Code.
Oh, for Shine.
Still full hit points. And Shine, jumping to the back line, just gets behind everybody from the side of LYB. Gamza, last person left standing in this Moscow. A triple kill being picked up by Fiora. And at the same time, Caspiel and Ribena take down Baron.
Being able to come into this, I talked about LYB. I would say that they were even out of the game. This is actually what you would expect from a composition from LYB and Empire. The issue now is LYB have now given up that Baron, and Baron was a big point of how LYB was actually going to be able to start being able to pick up win coming into this next phase of the game. 27 minutes in, sure, you can put all your cards onto this late game Caitlyn and Akali composition, but you don't have a good frontline to work with right now. Look at how much CC Zero is able to bring to the table. The Paranoia stacked alongside that, they were just able to absolutely massacre LYB.
I want an Empire flowchart. I just wanted to say, lose the early game, come back slightly mid-game, question mark, dragon fight, game over. That seems to be their entire story so far.
That feels like it. Honestly, right now, Empire have been working the same storyline every single time. And it's worked out so well for them. The games that they don't find a dragon fight, however, are often the games they end up losing. I'm worried about them because of that. That's a very exploitable issue over on the side of LYB. That just means that, honestly, you know, it's not great to say, but just give up the dragon, because as long as Empire doesn't get that down and dirty skirmish, right, where they really get to play their strengths, then LYB have nothing to worry about.
Whereas again, we've seen the Caitlyn Morgana composition reach the toughest point in its power spike, which is does really well early game. You take down all the outer turrets with ease. Nobody can really contest that unless you get something like a Zillion pick bot side of the map. Then once you take down all the outer turrets, what do you do then? It seems like LYB were not able to answer that question.
I mean, I'm not all too much worried about the Caitlyn right now. I feel like they still have a decent amount of power so they can get the catches that they need. But then the issue comes down to, once again, that front line problem. Because the Lee Sin going for a little bit more damage, sure, it gives him more power towards the early game, and they work towards that early, trying to put down Shine. But how well were they really able to effectively use that? Because now, this Fiora is 5-3. He just got a triple kill, killed them all off of a flank.
And look at this, it's the 1-2-1 again. Shine's actually inside of LYB's base. Dodo in trouble. Here comes Nocturne. Simple kill on towards Elise Head. Diving onto Akali underneath the turret, forcing the Zhonya's. Caspiel still tanking the turret damage. Will be able to take down Gamza. The rest of Empire going to join on in. Karina with a big flank trying to get into the back lines. Caitlyn in trouble, going to be taken down. Karina goes up to a killing spree as Empire find a pain point. They press down hard, and it's going to be LYB losing turret after turret.
Strong plays coming in from Empire. They're looking to try to end this off.
And that's going to be it. Ace coming out for Ribena as Empire in game 1 against LYB come back and they take the victory.
What can I say? No tears from me this game. I don't have to cry about this one. Empire picking up this first win.
Well, as Opal liked to say in the last match, technically here, Grandin. All right? The analyst desk is still on track for a 100% prediction rate. They're still on track.
Fair enough.
I don't want to say they're wrong just yet, but they're kind of wrong to start. You know?
I mean, going back into the game, looking at the way things played out, looking at the way that things really tried to build up to the way they were. Empire, they went in, they gave up this early game, they picked okay early game champions. Not phenomenal, but they can hold their own decently against some of their matchups. The main issue came down for LYB was when Empire get that dragon fight they look for, and then they just blow up the map.
Yeah, I mean, again, LYB didn't look weak at all in that match.
No.
They looked dominant. They looked like they knew exactly how to execute this strategy. Exactly what the analysts were talking about. Bringing in Cabbage has brought a whole new arsenal to LYB's roster. Unfortunately, you know, we saw Riku, who, by the way, Malaysian Spy, was cheering when Shine was picked as the starting roster for the first 5. But in reality, it was just like, that's just flashbacks, as what she mentioned, what happened at GCM. And suddenly it's happening again. Shine is split pushing towards the Nexus, and LYB's being crushed on the other side of the map. You just have to think once bitten, twice shy, but not so much the case in the first game.
The question is now for Empire, are they going to keep running Shine as their main top laner coming into game number 2?
Or mid laner. It could be the mid laner, because that was what we saw in the entirety of the first match. But that's all from us here at the casting backdrop, casting desk. Let's send it back to Opal and Pals at the desk.
Thank you, Fish and Grandin. In Game 1, Empire looked to take steps toward their throne at the C-Tour Major. Sorry, Riku, you looked a little bit defeated there. It's okay. Like Fish has mentioned, 100% prediction is on track. We all said 2-1 here, but Empire, I was not expecting such a convincing victory after only that 15-minute mark where they really stepped up.
Yeah, I did not expect something that explosive. It was super dominating coming from Empire. And, I mean, it still makes sense a little bit. Empire faced Ascension. When the players from Empire at Kuala Lumpur Hunters, they did defeat Ascension 1 game. So I guess it does make sense because Ascension 2 owed Mineski, who's now LYB, at GCM. So, yeah, flashbacks, just as Fish said.
Yeah, no, Yurith, we were looking at that from, of course, our little cozy chair back over in the lobby over there while we're watching the game. You know, honestly, like, we looked at toward, you know, the pick and bans of the draft there, and it looked pretty standard to what we were expecting. We saw that Fiora almost being hovered or taken away by LYB. Instead, they let it on through, and Shine got a hold of it.
Yes, I think that was their first mistake. They knew that it was a power pick for Shine, and they kind of hover over it, and we thought, like, of course they're gonna do that, but they didn't. They gave it to Shine, and we've seen him do crazy things with it, like being ganked at mid lane and just surviving with a dot of health and finally carrying the game. And he was just picking up kills by himself and even just winning the lane in general.
You know, I'm actually very curious because earlier in Picks and Bans, they were hovering over at Fiora. So they were choosing between Aurelia or Fiora. So it makes me think what could have happened if they did deny that. What could have been the shining moment or shining pick for Shine here. So, yeah, I'm still a little bit heartbroken.
Do have to commend, though, Carino coming in on that Vladimir. Beautiful, beautiful damage numbers coming out there. But if we go ahead and we, you know, take our paces back toward the start of the game there, LYB, they applied that early pressure onto Empire. That's what we expected of this matchup. They even went ahead, rotated that Caitlyn around, got all outer tier towers. That's your first, you know, check mark on your things to do in order to win this game. It's just Empire somehow always able to hold in these matchups.
Exactly. And you're right. It was the win condition. They did it so well. And I'm just a little bit worried that, okay, that is the first one, the first gank right there.
This was LYB getting that early pressure.
Yeah.
Honestly, excellent. Yeah, clean play coming out there. Quick double
Not
kill.
sure why Shine stayed there to take a hit on the minion. Like, he should have just ran away, honestly.
Maybe he just wanted to soak a little bit. Wait for them to go away. Now I can safely go back up my top lane.
And you know
Probably.
what? From there, you know, LYB, they got that early pressure on that mid lane. They got Shine. They shut down that Fiora and pretty much forced Shine to have to go into a side lane there. And then it kind of came around. They took all those out tier towers. And they're like, okay, now we want to go for this dragon. It was the first, or I think second Infernal Drake of the game there. And for Empire, you got to commend them because Empire somehow hold, but this insane flank coming out of the Vladimir.
And the bad part of it is that first 3 seconds of the fight, EXO wasn't around because he was thinking of a different strategy. I'm just going to try to flank. But meanwhile, Empire thinks, let's double flank this one. And you're right, Kirino had the best position, hit like 3-4 people at the Hemo Plague. It was just donezo for LYB.
On top of that, too, that's our point, though. Around 15 minutes, it was only 1,000 gold lead for LYB. Compared to their 5,000 gold leads that they ended up having in Empire, that was their rough, you know, area of safety. They're like, hey, Gold's pretty even. We're willing to go toe-to-toe in these 5v5s. Hell, on top of that too, once they get advantages, they start denying vision around the Baron.
Yes, I definitely think Kirino played to his strengths. As mentioned earlier, his laning phase is not as strong. He usually needs Caspiel to carry him early game. But he was very patient with Akali. He did very well. And then finally, when it's time his time to shine, he just kind of went for it. And from there on, the game just went downhill.
Exactly, because all the gold after that dragon fight, all the gold went to Kirino, so now he's even more confident. He has a Zhonya's Hourglass, he just go in, press Zhonya's, and then that's why the Shine and Kirino threat coming from Empire is actually very scary against LYB. So what I'm thinking right now is that the thought flew, actually.
It went out
flew.
and away. It went like Tibbers when Fish is in next to him. No,
Okay, that feels good. Now I know why Fish does it. Okay.
I thought this wouldn't happen anymore once Fish left, but it's wrong.
It just seems to be that chair there. Of course, though, our final fight, you see Shine applying all this pressure, got ramped up, and then, you know what, Empire, they say, you know what, we're 11,000 gold ahead, let's just go in it.
Very painful to watch here. And I guess because of that lead, it's okay because every single time, even though Shine doesn't get the lead that he wants, it's all about the 5v5s. It's all about the contestant of objectives. It's all about the dance around the dragon or the baron. And Empire is one scary team.
Yes, and they're definitely, all of them playing very well in this game, but also like early game, even though LYB did well, and you see Caitlyn taking the first turret and taking all of the turret platings, they weren't able to utilize it very well. The Caitlyn was, kind of pushing the minions and stuff like that, not really using it to their advantage.
So then, of course, then we kind of cycle back on over here. We start looking toward our next game is around the dragon fights in particular, and also those neutral objectives. Because honestly, LYB, they went for these fights when, after they saw that first fight not go in their favor, they still opted to try and take it. Even in the odd man advantage going in favor of Empire, what does LYB have to do to change this?
I guess right off the bat, to be honest, EXO, first of all, I think there was a point in the game where he was a little bit aggressive, and it led to the first dragon take, actually, or second dragon take, the first Infernal Drake, rather. So I guess minimize, or rather be a little bit more disciplined, get that discipline back, what we saw in the minors, and take that back towards the majors, because I feel like it's really, there's so much pressure on EXO because he's such a key player in LYB. So that's what I'm looking for, more discipline from EXO, and as well as positioning, because that's what happened in the dragon fight. They were just surrounded by zombies from Empire.
It just felt like they were hesitating. They're hesitating to pull that trigger onto Empire when they had that advantage. Like, Fiora ended up walking from base. That, to me, is a big concern for LYB on their decision-making, on whether or not they need to be proactive on their plays to pull the trigger right away. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, it's going to be Game 2 between Empire and LYB. We'll see whether or not LYB can go ahead and force Game 3, or Empire are going to get their way steps closer to the throne.